I don't know if you've ever seen someone that kind of goes above and beyond the norm, maybe where you work, maybe there's a project that has to get done or something that's not quite ready, and a few of the other team members drop what they're doing. They come over and help make sure that the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, get that project done. It's a home run. And for the team, it's great. For the company, it's great. For everyone, it's great. I love it when I see it. I know just a few weeks ago, I was eating at a Cracker Barrel, and the lady came over and asked about what I'd like to drink. I said, well, I'd love to have a Coke and a lot of ice. She said, that's no problem. She comes back, extra large glass full of Coke all the way to the top, and another glass full of ice all the way to the top. I said, you know you're going to get a big tip today, right? You understand? That's awesome right there. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying, going the extra mile? Every once in a while, one of my travels, I get the opportunity to run across someone, a special person that really gets it, or I come across a unique story of someone that really understands it or has lived it. I want to tell you a story because sometimes you get a special reward that's different maybe than what you're thinking when you go the extra mile. This is a true story, and I'm going to tell it in the words that he wrote himself about it. This is his story. 20 years ago, I drove a cab for a living. One man, one car. Some of my friends, they call me an entrepreneur, but I didn't really feel like that. I just like meeting new people, and I love going to different places. One day I got a call for an early morning pickup, very early, 2:30 in the morning. Well, I pull up to this apartment complex. It's so dark, can't hardly see anything except for one small light in a ground floor apartment. Now, many other taxi drivers, when you get a call like this, they might honk once or twice and leave. If they're a little bit scared, they might not even take the call if they're impatient. But I've worked with too many people over the years, especially those that rely on taxis as their only means of transportation. I didn't feel like the situation smelled of danger, so I walked up to the door and knocked. I heard this kind of elderly, frail voice say, "Just a minute." I thought I heard something kind of being dragged across the floor, and the door opened, and here stood this 80-year-old woman in a basic print dress, a little box hat with a veil and a flower on the top. She looked like someone out of the 1940s. Next to her was this small green nylon suitcase. She said, "Could you please help me with my bag?" I grabbed the bag, went out to the taxi, put it in the trunk, came back in to help her. I noticed when I looked inside the apartment, all the furniture was covered with sheets. There were no pictures on the walls, no clocks. There were no utensils or things out in the kitchen. A couple boxes kind of on the floor with a few knickknacks in them. I said, "Why don't you hold my arm and I'll help you walk down the sidewalk, to the cab." She said, "Thank you." And as I got her in, she said, "Thank you so much." I said, "Oh, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. I just try to treat people the way I would want my own mother treated." She said, "Well, you're a good man." I said, "Well, I don't know about that." So we got in the car. She handed me the address. And she said, "Could we please go through downtown?" I looked at the address and I said, "Well, that's not the fastest way. That's not the fastest way." She said, "Well, I don't mind. I'm in no hurry. I'm on my way to a hospice." I looked in the rear view mirror. I could see that her eyes were starting to glisten a little bit. She said, "My doctor said I don't have a lot of time left. I don't really have any family." I reached over and turned the meter off. I said, "What route would you like me to take?" First, we went down into town to this building where she had her first job many, many years ago as an elevator operator, taking different people up to the floors that they needed to go to. Then we drove to this great neighborhood where she and her husband, who had passed, had bought their first house. Then we drove up to this big, huge furniture store. I thought, well, this is interesting. See, the furniture store used to be a dance hall where she and her husband had once gone ballroom dancing. Sometimes she had me drive just to a street or a corner, and she wouldn't say a word. She would just kind of look out into the darkness. Just as the sun started to come over the horizon, she said quietly, "I'm tired. I think we can go now." I started to drive, got to the building, went down the long driveway. There were two orderlies there ready to come out and help to assist her. As they helped her out of the car and into the wheelchair, I went and got her suitcase. As I walked over to her, she started to reach into her purse, and she said, "Well, how much do I owe you?" I said, "It's nothing. There's no charge." And with her sweet voice, "Well, you have to make a living." I said, it's okay, there'll be other passengers. Without even thinking, I just kind of leaned down and gave her a hug. She grasped onto my arm tightly and whispered in my ear, "Thank you. Thank you for giving an old woman a few moments of joy today. Thank you." As I let go and they started to take her inside and I heard the door shut, it was the sound of a closing of a life. I got back in my car. I didn't pick up any passengers for the rest of the day. I was kind of lost in thought. I was kind of reviewing the situation, thinking, what if she would have got an impatient driver who really didn't wait for her? What if it was one of those drivers that honks once or twice and leaves? Or maybe they were just rude and wouldn't even take a 2:30 in the morning pickup. I'm so glad I had this opportunity. As I pulled up into my own driveway, I thought to myself, I don't think I've ever done anything more important in all my life. See, every one of you is going to have opportunities on some days to go the extra mile, to go above and beyond, to do something special for a friend, for a wife, for a husband, for a child, for a neighbor, for a coworker. And you know what? Maybe you do that and your boss sees you, and maybe you get a raise. Maybe you get some kind of special recognition or a plaque. Or maybe you go the extra mile and it goes unnoticed. But you receive a special gift, something that's more important than money, something more important than recognition. The gift of having a significant impact on a person's life. That's why we go the extra mile.